I've got my cards pretty close to done. So the cards that are wider, you can actually put the sentiment on this edge. It's not showing up real well, the side, but one, my cards now have brads there, and two, my cards aren't real wide. So we're going to put the sentiment on the back. And I don't have a whole lot of sentiments yet. I'm collecting them, and I'm waiting for my nesting rectangles to show up from Stampin' Up. So I'm going to use a nesting rectangle from a different company. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut two of these. One for the back of each card. I can only cut one at a time. You can look at how to make the perfect sandwich. Now, we're going to do a couple things. I'm also going to use this Geared Up Garage because I like the Happy Father's Day. So we've got a stamp and a die that we're going to use. So I'm going to run this through. I'm going to cut two in this green, and I like that this has the stitched edging, so I'm going to have a cool little stitched sentiment area for my cards. I'm going to do that off camera. I've got my two squares cut out of that green paper, and that's the same green that I used for the mountains on this card. And I dug through my stash because I want to have this Happy Father's Day. Can't see that real well. I want to have this Happy Father's Day. I want it to be stamped into a complementary color to what's in the card. So I dug through my stash, and I had some watercolor paper from another project. Well, it's watercolor paper that I'd painted with much the same colors and in the same way as the water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp Happy Father's Day twice. These don't necessarily have to be Father's Day cards. So actually, maybe I'll just do it once. So this is from this Happy Father's Day is from the Geared Up Garage set, and the die is from the Garage Gears die set. So I'm going to stamp Happy Father's Day once. I'm going to cut out I'm going to use the die to cut that out. And then I've got the Tasteful Touches set. I think I like You Are So Special. So the glare is bad, but I'm going to use the You Are So Special from the Tasteful Touches stamp set. And so I'm going to set my dies aside in a place where I hopefully won't lose them. So this is a black ink pad from a Paper Pumpkin set, and I'm inking up that stamp. I have not had really good luck stamping these over the last couple days, so hopefully that turns out well. Woohoo, that did turn out well. Okay, hopefully the Father's Day one will turn out well too. I'm going to leave a little bit of space. You know, I usually like to preserve as much paper as possible, but I want to make sure that I have room to cut out with the dies. And I was careful not to get ink on the very edge of the stamp, on this edge, so that I don't end up with ink in places that I don't want it, like I did there. So this is going to dry, and then we're going to use the die cutter to cut frames around our sentiments. We could have cut the frames first and then stamped onto them. That probably would have preserved paper. Maybe I'll do that next time. I have my sentiments stamped and cut out, and now we're going to position these on the card. Now we have a lot of room here. I could add extra stuff if I had my nesting rectangles from Stampin' Up or the A7 set, then I'd probably use those, but that's not what I've got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use double-sided tape to tape down the big green area where we can write our message. And then I'm going to use foam squares to secure the sentiment. And, you know, I was saying that I dug through my stash and I pulled out some paper that I'd watercolored in a similar color for another project. I love that. I think it was the azure blue. So I tend to use that for a lot of things. And a while ago, I went through and I just made a whole bunch of watercolor. Okay, so we got to make sure that we get the sentiment on the lined up the way we expect it to be. The section for writing, so that when you flip the card over, it's right side up. Anyway, and I painted those in much the same way that I painted, or that we painted this. I taped down a whole bunch of watercolor tape, I taped down a whole bunch of watercolor paper on a board, and I just spent a day painting. I'm putting the foam adhesive pieces on the back of this sentiment. Anyway, spent an entire day just painting backgrounds in watercolor. There we go. It could definitely use some more embellishments. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a tree. A lot of what you guys see is me totally flying by the seat of my pants and coming up with this stuff. So, what I often do is I'll do a sample. Sometimes I don't even do that, like with my watercolor tutorials. And then I'll learn a few things from the sample, and then by the seat of my pants, I will make corrections to the tutorial. I also do that with my legal videos. So you get a little taste of how an attorney's brain works when you watch my legal videos. And so that's why my videos are the way they are. So again, just putting down those, foam adhesive pieces so that we can have a little bit of dimension on the back of our card. And I totally forgot to tape down this square. So I'm applying double-sided tape to the back of this color piece that we can write on. And I'm trying to get it pretty close to the edge without going over the edge. And I really like double-sided tape, so I haven't used the there we are, we went over, so I'm going to cut that out. I haven't used the various Stampin' Up adhesives yet, so I'm not sure how good they are, but of the adhesives that I've been able to purchase, I'm going to try to get that straight. Of the adhesives that I've been able to purchase at like craft stores, I really kind of like the cheap Walmart Pen Gear double-sided tape. Okay, and we're going to put down "You Are So Special" right there. And because I think the back of this looks plain, and I want to bring in some of what's on the front, on the one with the pheasants, I'm going to cut out some pheasant, and I'm going to put those on the back. Anyway, I'm going to cut out the tent. I'm going to cut out some trees. The tent is going to go on this one. The trees are going to go on this one as well. And on the back of this one, I'm going to have some trees and the pheasant. And I might have the dog on this one. And I want to think of something. I'll probably put the cloud on the back of this one because it coordinates with that cloud. So I'm going to cut all of those off camera, and I'll come back and I'll show you how I secure those. So I cut a bunch of embellishments for the back, and I wanted to bring in colors that are on the front, and I decided that black on black was didn't stand out enough. So with these trees, I cut a shadow tree out of the same green that we used for this. And I didn't do that on this tree because this tree is sitting on the green panel. And then for the sky elements, I cut for the clouds some shadow clouds out of the same blue that we used for the mountains on the card that we made a blue mountain range. And I'm just kind of laying these out. And I said I was going to put the tent down in this corner, but then I remembered that the tent wasn't a die, it was a stamp. I don't have a die for the tent, and I didn't really want to stamp it. So, and this, probably going to put that tree something like that so that we see a little bit of the shadow on the black. Then got another tree we'll put there. And it's probably about all. And you know what? I think maybe actually I want a tree here. So we're just kind of going to play with it. You're going to play with it too. Oh, and I've got little shadows, blue shadows for the pheasant, and that's the same blue that we used for the mountains. So what's going to happen is these trees here, the ones that you can see through, they're going to lay flat. And I'm going to lay those flat with adhesive dots, and I'm out of the adhesive dots from Stampin' Up. So now I'm stuck using some adhesive dots that I got at Walmart. Hopefully they work well. And I'm just going to apply those. They don't seem as good as the Stampin' Up ones. And I swear, I'm not trying to just sell Stampin' Up, although please buy Stampin' Up. Have me as your demonstrator. But these, yeah, genuinely aren't as good as the ones that came with the Paper Pumpkin kit. And Paper Pumpkin's a Stampin' Up product, so we'll see how well we can get these to work for us. And if they don't work well, then I might end up pulling out some good old-fashioned glue. Okay.
I do that.
Okie dokie. And now for this other side, I'm gonna put the dots on the green tree. I'm gonna move some of this stuff out of the way.
Oh my, no way.
Oh, this is the one where we put the dog in. Okay, so I'm gonna put the dog down in this corner right now. And I'm gonna stick the dog down with foam adhesive so that I've got a little bit of dimension to the dog. And I'm putting 2 pieces on. Okay. I want the dog right about there. And I'm going to stick the black tree to the green tree first. I'm going to start by putting those adhesive dots on the black tree. I guess I could put them on the green tree, on the front of the green tree, and then stick the black tree to it. That would make sense. Okay. So now I'm going to stick the black tree to the green tree. Might be hard to see, but we've got a nice little shadow. Now I'm going to flip the green tree over and put the adhesive dots on the on the back of the green tree. And it's okay if we get some on the back of the black tree as well, because both trees are going to be stuck as flush as we can get them to the card. And so actually having some adhesive dots on the black part of the tree will help secure them both. Okay. So I'm going to put that right there. It's overlapping my sentiment. We could put it under the sentiment if we wanted, or we can have it over the sentiment. I'm going to have it over the sentiment, but I don't want it to cover. Okay. Now I'm going to put the blue pheasants on the page where I want them to be. And then once those are stuck, I'm going to put the black ones over them. So the blue's going to end up being a little bit of a shadow. And because these adhesive dots aren't real great, I'm going to put more on than I would have if these were my Paper Pumpkin adhesive dots. Put that one down. Now I'm going to do the same to the other pheasant. Okay, I want that one to be right there. So now I'm going to take the black pheasants, and I'm going to make sure that I've got them going the correct direction You know, because if I flip it the other way, then they don't necessarily line up. So I'm going to make sure that I put the adhesive dots on the back of the black pheasant. So if you order Paper Pumpkin, it's a monthly subscription box. And the way I found it is I was subscribing to a watercolor subscription box, and I loved it. And I wanted to know if there was something like that for stamping. And there is. It's Paper Pumpkin. And so I subscribed to it, and that's kind of how I got oh, see, I don't like how the shadow on this pheasant is on the bottom and the shadow on that one's on the top. So I'm going to reposition this pheasant so that they match. I want it to be exactly over the blue. I might end up having to use some more adhesive dots now that I've removed this several times and kind of worn out the stickiness. So anyway, you get these with Paper Pumpkin. You get these basically card components every month, and you get little adhesive pieces and whatever to make the cards, and they send you more adhesive pieces than you actually need, which is cool because then you can use them in other projects. Okay, so now I'm on to the other card. And this is the one that doesn't have the dog in it. It's the one that's got the tent, so that's why there's not going to be a dog in this one. So for this one, I'm going to use the foam adhesive pieces for the black tree that's going to go on this corner. It's going to give it some dimension and make it so that it doesn't blend into the corner, into the black as much as it would if it didn't have that dimension. And, you know, should have moved it down a little bit. Oh well, too late. Anyway, so with the watercolor kit, they do the same thing where they send you more than you actually need, which is why I ended up with all those watercolors that we used on the project, on this project. Those were from past watercolor kits, and I love them so much. So there's a little background. So I'm doing with this tree exactly what we did with the other one, and that is I've got the green piece turned one. So on this one, I'm going to end up adhering the green piece to the page before the black piece, because I went and I put all of the dots on the back side of this green tree. So that's okay. I just stuck it down on the page where I want it. Now I'm going to put the glue dots on the back of the black tree. Okay. So it's going to want to stick once I put it down. So I'm going to try to get it where I want it before I press it down. There we go. Now for the clouds, I cut blue clouds and black clouds, and we're going to do basically the same thing with the clouds that we did with the pheasant. So on the back side of both clouds, I'm going to put the little adhesive dots. And I gotta say, once I get further into the roll of these adhesive dots, they work a whole lot better. I actually could have used the foam adhesive on this to give it some dimension, but I didn't. So I've got that blue one down. Now I'm going to put the black one down, and I got to decide, do I want the shadow on the top or the bottom? And I think I kind of want it on the bottom like that. So applying the adhesive dots to the back side of the black cloud. And going to position that on the blue cloud and then press it down. And remember, our card folds and unfolds, so we can take advantage of that to press. I'm going to put the adhesive dots on the back of the blue card. So as I'm doing that, I'll talk to you more about Paper Pumpkin. I got my second Paper Pumpkin box the other day, so this will be 2 months now of Paper Pumpkin. What appealed to me about it was the description said that I would learn different techniques with each kit. So that really appealed to me. And I was a little bit disappointed when I put together my first kit because so many of the pieces are already made for you. Oh, I just put the dots on the wrong side of my cloud. Darn it. Let's see if I can pull them off. And I kind of felt like it was cheating. And then I remembered when I was a kid and I started baking, I felt the same way about 5-minute fudge, right? I wanted to make fudge the way my great grandma made it. This 5-minute fudge stuff was cheating. And it turns out I love 5-minute fudge. I had to get over the ego. And now I'm like, wait, why would I make anything but 5-minute fudge? 5-minute fudge is tasty and it's quick. You know, paper pumpkin in my mind is like the 5-minute fudge of crafting, of card making. It's quick. You can have a bunch of cards on hand. They're beautiful. My husband thought they were awesome. And he was impressed that I was able to make them so quickly. And so, you know, I know a lot of people view crafting and card making a little bit differently than I do. You know, for me, I don't want it to go really quick. I want it to take a little bit of time. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the time to myself. Okay, I'm going to put that tree right there in that corner, and I'm going to use the foam adhesive for it. Hang tight, baby. And I'm not going to put the green behind it because I'm using the foam adhesive. So there we go. There we go. We've got 2 pretty darn cool cards. And, you know, we didn't have to use a Father's Day sentiment on this. You might have other sentiments that you want to use. That's totally cool. These are pretty masculine cards. I tend toward masculine cards, and I tend toward masculine designs. So stay tuned for more masculine cards from me. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for bearing with me. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so that when I post new videos, you will know and can see them. You know what? I might put, yeah, I'm going to put that green tree right there. And I'm out of these foam adhesive dots from Paper Pumpkin, but hey, guess what? All of it's sticky. I just cut some little dots from around the outside, the border, and I'm going to use those. And then what do I do with all of the little pieces, like off the tops of my foam adhesive, and when I cut the little corners, and when I get these little lacy pieces that come out of patterns that I've cut, I keep them because one day I might want them in a shaker card. Okay, there you go. 2 cool cards.